All right, hello everyone. So this is an extension. You guys should consider this class as an extension to what we did the last time. The last time we talked about variables, and I talked about how variables are being instantiated. I said if you want to declare variables, we use a data type, right? Then the variable name, something like this, equal to the value, something like this, right? So the data type, in the sense that, let's say we have something like a string, then my string can be name equal to something like id here, then this. So this is how variable is being instantiated, right, using the data types. Now there's another ways in which we can actually instantiate variables, which is using three things here. We have the var, which stands for variable. We have the final, which I will explain in a second. We have the const, which means constant, right? And then we have null, which we'll be talking about in the next class. Now, but let's just talk about these three things for now. Now, how do we use these things? Consider we have something like this. Var, instead of data type, var equal to some value, which I don't know yet, equal to, let's say I have 10. Then I can say print some value, right? So when I run this code and I print this, it will work, right? It will work, and it will assume any the data type that has been assigned to it. As an example, now you can see it works here. You can see now we have some value automatically here. Okay, let me see if I can bring out the documentation. Okay. Alright, let's just proceed. Alright, so basically, let me run this code again. So basically, the data type of whatever it is we run here, right, this variable allows our code to assume any data type we give it. For example, now in this case, now the data type is an int. When I change this thing to a day and I run this code like this, automatically the data type becomes a string, right? So variable is like something like a data type that assume any data type that has been assigned to it, right? That's what variable does. So this variable now, it doesn't have any issues, it doesn't have any concern. But this final and const has issues, which we have to always look forward to whenever we are writing our code. Now let's see another example. Let's say, okay, let me leave the var. Now let's say I want to have, let's use the final and the constant. Final, right? Let's say some like this, value 2 equal to Ola, as an example. Then we have print some value 2, right? Now when I run this code, it also works, right? But the truth is, final, let me make this into another one again, but this time let me call this const, and let's call this some value 3, like this, 3. So when I run this code, everything works normally. Now you might be thinking, final and const, like I said earlier, variable doesn't have an issue. Variable means that you can use it for anyone and it will assume the data type, right? That's clear. So that means instead of specifying string, instead of specifying int, instead of specifying bool, right, you can just use variable, like var. It will assume anything you give to it. Now if you can use this now, then why am I introducing us to final and const? Now the reason is because now something about final and const is that let's write the code. Now let me clean this whole thing. Let me write something else. Let's say we have final, right? Then they give us some value, which is a variable name, which can name anything you want. Then I have something called date, like this, time dot now. Now I've not really introduced us to something like this before, but yeah, this right, line of code here, generate the exact time and the exact date that I have. Right, I'm recording this video. This video is being recorded. Okay, this time here you see is wrong, but this date is correct, right? So now if I print, let's watch something. If I print some value and I run this code, okay, you have to put this and then let's rerun the code. Now we will get the actual, you can see the date and the time. This is 25th of October 2024 and we have time 6:53, which is exactly what we have here. If I run this code again, I have to assume the time again. Now what if I do the same thing with const? Let's see something. Const some value, let me just call it 2 equal to, again, date time dot now, and I said print some value 2. You can see there's an error here, means that this thing is not ready to work. And the reason why it's not ready to work, that is exactly this difference between variable and constant. You should only use constants as a data type when that thing is not going to change. I don't know if you understand. I can say something like const, like this, const age equal to let's say 34. Now I can now say print age, right? Now let me just comment out this. Now let me run this code. Let's see what I'm trying to explain here. Now I will get the time, right, and I will get the age. Now the reason why I'm getting the age is because age is a constant value. Now let's now say, okay, my age is not 34 again. I want to assign age to something else. Then I came here and say age equal to 56. Then print age again. Can you see now? There's an error now with this age of a thing. And the reason why error is said, look at this error you see here. Constant values can be assigned a value. You can see once something is constant, it can't be changed anymore. That's what we call immutability. Immutability is when a data type or a variable has a constant value, so that thing is not changing. So I would advise that once you know that something in your code, the reason why we use is that if I'm writing a code now and I don't want something to change, let's say for example now I made a mistake in the future and I'm trying to change it, so I would have used const already so that I'm not ready to change this thing. So in case I intend to change this thing, it should prompt out an error, right? There are a lot of codes in which we write like that where we don't want to change the value. Do you get what I'm saying now? So if you don't want to change a certain value, you make sure you use the const. Now you might be thinking that final is also sounding like const. Why is final not prompting an error? Now that's because final is also like a constant, but final is a runtime constant. I don't know, you guys should write it down somewhere, like run time constant. Now what that means is that it is not constant. Final is not constant until I run the code. Now when I run it and it gives me an output, then automatically it becomes a constant. You get what I'm saying now? But the const itself is a compile time constant. Now what does that mean? It means that it is immediately I'm writing the code that the thing is becoming constant. And since date time doesn't the time is moving by the second, time is changing by the second, meaning that it will prompt out an error because time cannot be a constant value. You get what I'm saying now? But date and time can be a constant value after you have executed. So when I run the code now and it gives me an answer, that's constant. When I run it again, it gives me another answer, that's another constant, right? But if I use the const means that the moment at which I'm writing that code, it is constant at that time. So and date and time can never be constant. So that's the difference between final and constant. So basically I like to use any of them that I wish. It depends on the code that I want, but you can consider using final, you can consider using const, and you can consider using var, right? And you can use all those string, int, anyone you use. But these ones here, they make the code look more efficient, and they reduce the workspace, the GPU that you have to. Now when we talk about optimization of the code, I will explain that better. So yes, I'll be ending this the lecture for now. Next class we'll talk about the nullable variable, which is the null that I talked about earlier. Thank you everybody.